Hello.
The general. Hello.
Hello, Chris.
Do you not hear us, Kris Graft?
Oh my gosh, it's freaking out.
And that's all. That's all for the show.
Well, I'm going to get started editing this. That was great. Good work, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Three Friends Play Video Games from 2024. You two have never met before, have you? Ash Parrish,
No.
Kris Graft. Well, we have Ash Parrish and Kris Graft, who are going to be best friends after this.
How do I know of you? Like, I'm pretty sure
we know of each other.
Sure, but I don't think you've.
We run in the same circles, as they say.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So we got Ash Parrish, known for The Verge and insert credit, and we have Kris Graft, known for Gama Sutra and now doing some sort of marketing thing at Dell that I can never remember. What are you doing?
I do marketing for Alienware.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I basically had it.
Okay, remind me what they call Gama Sutra now, because it's not that.
It's GameDeveloper.com now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, GameDeveloper.com. I did that for like 1,000 years.
Yes,
and then,
we had been wanting it to be GameDeveloper.com since I joined in 2004. I was like, hey, what if we called it GameDeveloper.com? We own the URL. They were like, no.
Yeah.
But now it is.
There was some pushback.
Yeah. So anyway, this is insert credit. It's the rest of the games of the year, and we invited Kris Graft along for the ride because Frank only plays a set number of video games every year, and he didn't have enough. And I was trying to come up with something really clever that we could do for when Kris Graft brought up a game that we've already mentioned in our Game of the Year episode. And I didn't come up with anything clever for that. But I think that we should play...
You can just edit something in after.
I think we should play a horrible buzzer whenever you do one.
Yeah.
The end.
Or a big wet fart.
Yeah, big
That
wet
would
fart
be-
sound.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think about, like, maybe you get points if you mention ones that we haven't, or we get points if you mention ones that we did. But I'm just going to think of some points later.
If I get points for mentioning things that you don't have, I'm just going to mention the shittiest, most obscure games that you definitely would not have.
Maybe.
None come to mind, though.
And you don't know what Ash played.
Yeah, you don't know what I played. I have pretty general normie tastes. I mean, because I have to.
I do this year, yeah.
Nice.
After I left journalism, like, all my taste is, like, out the window.
Super normie. Yeah. But there's some things in here that I think that won't be mentioned. So
Nice. Okay, well, let's just get started. These are all the games that Ash and I did not want to nominate for Game of the Year, and games that Kris Graft played. And that's the format. And let's just get started. I'm going to start with a really stupid one.
well, no, I think we should go in order: A, B, C.
Oh, you're right. Although he's K, it's ABK. Sorry.
Oh, it's a Chris with a K. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it still
See, we
works.
don't know each other. We don't know each other at all. I'm widely known otherwise as Chris with a K.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Well, you're Chris with a C for today, for our purposes, right? Just now.
Erasure. Yeah.
I really wanted to nominate this game as part of my Game of the Years, but I think with the list that I did come up with, it's stronger for not having this game on it, even though it is deeply personal to me. And I know Brandon is going to know exactly what this game is. It is at the top of my list. If something else had slipped, it would have been on there. And that's Dragon Age, the Veilguard. I love Dragon Age games. They are extremely deeply personal to me. I say this all the time. I don't know if I ever have shared the story, and I'm not going to share it here because it's way too long. The Dragon Age Inquisition saved my life and like gave me like my profession. Like I would not be here without that game specifically.
Yeah.
And it means
You have said it on the show, so it's good.
It means so much to me, and I was so happy to see, we finally got, another game. I know that there are problems with that game. I don't want to get into them, honestly. Like, there are problems as a Dragon Age fan with it. I think I think BioWare kind of shot themselves in the foot with this particular iteration of Dragon Age, because I think it would have been served better to be more of a continuation of Inquisition instead of like starting over each time. I understand that there are developmental and narrative reasons for doing that, because you want to appeal to people and you don't want to make people feel that they have to play the games before they play this one. I get that.
Well, it also had that really fraught development thing where it became a live service game and then
went back to being so,
exactly. Well, that's a lot of that in there.
I can see how the game struggled because of those like shifts in direction. But beyond that, like, it is a beautiful game that you can feel that the developers put a lot of love into, and we play BioWare games for the characters and the story, and it gave me exactly what I needed. Like, I did not know what kind of choices I was going to make, and the choices that I did know that I was going to make, I completely made different choices because I was so compelled by the narrative that was unfolding in front of me. Like, I am one of those people that romanced the old man character Emmerich, and like I didn't plan on it. Like, that was not, because you go into these things like, I'm going to romance this guy because I've seen all the character art and this guy's the hottest and his like brooding darkness speaks to me, because exactly. And then, this old man, like this rizzed up old man comes along, and I'm like, completely, flips the script. And I love when games surprise me like that. And Dragon Age was like full of that stuff, despite all the issues that I had with it. It's a wonderful game, and it's criminal what EA is doing to it. It's criminal the way that it's been treated in the press with like, woke destroyed this game, or, whatever, like Dragon Age underperformed and that's why it sucks. Meanwhile, Football Manager 25 or whatever is over here, the game that prints money for EA, and that one underperformed as well. Like, come on now. Neither here nor there, because I don't want to get into that because it'll make me mad. But Dragon Age: The Veilguard, great game.
Kris Graft, you played it, right?
Yeah, that's on my list. And I have to preface, like, I didn't finish a ton of games, but I've played like hours of Dragon Age, The Veilguard. So like, I totally agree with pretty much everything that Ash said about it. Like, it's different. So my Dragon Age game was the first one.
You're going to say, I thought you were going to say 2. Most people say 2.
No, I think I'm just like old. Like it, I loved the two things that I remember the most about the first one are the combat, like the tactical combat was really good. And of course they're moving away from that understandably. But that was fantastic. And then also the dialogue branching and the choices. Like, what I loved about, I know this is about Dragon Age: The Veilguard, but just harkening back to the first one, I loved the first one, how the dialogue trees are like, you might say something, it gives you an option to say something that's just like shrugging something off. It's like a small thing. It's not like kill the puppy or save the puppy. It's like you did this minor thing. And then you realize down the line, it's like, holy crap, like this minor thing that I did that I thought was inconsequential has these consequences apparently that affect the storyline in a memorable way. And I loved that because I feel like that's what real life is. Like,
You think your choices matter in real life, Kris Graft?
Big if true.
No, not really. Yeah, it's funny. Like, also like being a parent too. Like, this is, and like if you're like a kid of a parent, also, like, you'll remember this tiny thing.
A lot of people are kids of parents. You'll find
tons of people. You, like, as a parent, like, you might do something, you won't remember doing it. And then years later, when the kid's grown up, is like, I remember my dad left me at the curb of elementary school waiting because he forgot about me. And it was because he was recording a podcast at the time. And like, in your memory, it's like, I think I only was 5 minutes late, But anyway, I'm completely digressing. But that's kind of making that analogous to the Veilguard. I love from the start, just because like the world, I mean, like, it's beautiful. Like, the characters are so expressive, and the combat, like, I'm playing as, I think, a warrior. And when I'm playing when I was playing it, I was like, I can't believe how good this is. Like how good it feels. Like the mechanics loop is just like, yeah. So so long story short, the dialogue branching and the choice and stuff, it's more limited because I think that it wants to tell more of a focused authored story, or maybe just because like time constraints or whatever. And the combat is not strategic per se, like as the first one, but holy crap. And like it's a great mix of Inquisition and Mass Effect, and it just is so sharp in that regard.
It is very sharp. Like I never play these games for like their combat, but one thing I definitely did notice is how good the combat feels. Like I played a mage, and I haven't played a mage in any of the previous iterations for narrative reasons, because I never liked the way that mages have been treated in the stories before. Like they're this like oppressed class, and the way that the fandom has taken that to mean like, they've like subsumed that identity unto themselves. And it's like, well, if you don't like mages, like if you're in the fandom and you're having conversations, and if you don't like mages, like you're seen as like this horrible racist, like like in the trenches. Like I was in the Tumblr trenches in the BioWare fandom when Inquisition came out, and like it's just a horrific thing. But for the first time, because the setting is different and we're in a place where mages are not oppressed, I decided I wanted to play a mage. And if that combat was so good, so sharp, it felt real good. The whole like you've got your little knife and your orb for like close-up combat, and then like you for further away you use your staff for long range shit, and you could just flip on the fly with that. Like that was some good shit. That was good. Yeah, I love that.
The way BioWare has been pausing time since, I don't know what, Knights of the Old Republic or like whatever, like in combat, like the mix of real time and strategic, when they get it right, I love it. Yeah.
Brandon, did you play this game?
No, I'm going to play it later. I didn't do it now because I knew you were going to, and so you could talk about it. And also, I will say that I let that one go long because it's Dragon Age, and I knew you were going to have stuff to say about it, but we got probably a lot of games, like 50-something games to get through. So we got, for the rest of them, we're going to move a little faster.
Keep it tight.
Move along to one that this is very quick from me. Helldivers 2. Kris Graft, you can talk about what the game is actually like. Here's my experience. I got it, and then I found out you need to, on PS5. I got it on PS5, and then I found out you have to you have to pay also for PSN in order to play it. Unlike every other online game on PlayStation, you don't need an account. You don't need to pay extra money to play it. And so I did not play Helldivers 2. That's what I have for Helldivers 2. How about you?
I didn't play
it. That's a good story, though. That is like a classic.
That's classic me.
Classic you. Classic consumer loop. It's great.
I will say that I did not play this game, but it was not for lack of trying. I tried to play this game to like understand like all the hype that was about it, and then when I bought the game, and I pay for PSN, I tried to like connect to a game, and I couldn't, because this was at that period where all the servers were like crashing because everybody and their mom wanted to play this game. I was never able to like get into a game. So like I didn't play it either.
All right, that's 2 for 2. Couldn't play the game. Kris Graft.
So everybody I talked to, like I just picked it up again recently because like everybody that I talked to, and including myself, who I talk to frequently, is like, I tried it for a little bit and I didn't get it. I uninstalled it. I don't know what the big deal is. And then that's fine. So I just started playing this again like a few weeks ago, and something clicked. So I play on Steam, so I don't have to like worry about all that jazz.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It's I'm trying to figure out, because what I've been the kind of game I've been chasing, maybe it's just because I tried it in the later part of this year where I'm been really looking for games to shut my brain off, and just like you really do kind of you chase objectives. It puts you in situations where you feel like you're barely going to get out of it. I've just been playing with random people. Also, in a situation like you don't feel like you're going to make it. sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, and that's it. I mean, the shooting is good. The way that you can call in stratagems is what they're called, weapons, like from your whatever cruiser, your spaceship that you own, and just standing back on a hill and watching like all of this ordnance just rain down on a target. It's just satisfying and fun. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's super sophisticated as far as stuff, other than I like it because it's like ultimate kind of, it's the kind of escapism dopamine thing that I think a lot of us are looking for.
There's value to that. Okay, it's your turn. What do you got?
Oh, let's try. I mean, you guys had to have talked about. I can say anything, right?
You can say anything.
On my list. We've been talking about. You talked about Balatro, right?
Yep. You got a buzzer on that one. We talked about it. Ash likes it. I don't like it. So now you don't get to talk about it.
You have to break the tie. Do you like it or you don't like it?
You like it. He likes it.
I really liked
it.
I basically sold like a dozen copies to people that I know from like my nephews. Like I showed their uncle, he showed his kids, like I showed my kids. It's like everyone has Balatro now.
Okay, next one.
Yeah.
If we get to one that we've already discussed, we're going to move along.
Fine.
What else you got?
How about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle?
That's a buzzer too.
Okay. How about? I think this is all just going to be buzzing.
We'll see.
Yeah. How about? I mean, you had to have maybe talked about Space Marine. You done that?
Briefly.
Yeah.
We talked about Space Marine.
Like an also ran. It's on the list, but it's also not on the list.
It got stuck next to Stellar Blade.
Yeah. It's got some that game definitely has some context that I have issue with, but I've been playing it. Skipping that then.
Okay. Well, maybe 3 strikes. We'll move along to Ash Parish.
How about Stalker 2?
What?
How about what?
Soccer 2?
Stalker 2.
Stalker.
Oh, Stalker. Soccer 2 would be great.
Soccer 2.
Dude, someone should make Soccer 2 right now. That would be amazing. It's like the sequel to Soccer. Man. Anyway, Stalker 2, no, did not play. And it wasn't on our list.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about Stalker. I saw... what's the guy's name? I can't remember.
Batman.
The game developer does the FMV games that are really good.
Barlow?
Sam Barlow. So like I saw him post about it's how beautiful a game is, and it reminds him of Dear Esther or something. And then I'm like, yeah, it's like Dear Esther. And then all of a sudden you're attacked and killed by a pack of mutant wolves. It's like that. It has this like these
Dear Esther, but Esther's a wolf.
Esther is a radiated pack of wolves.
Yeah.
So it does have that. It's like really like hauntingly beautiful. It's open world. You can really go all over the place. I wouldn't say, it's like Breath of the Wild, kind of open world thing. Although it kind of is, because you're just you really do feel like you can wander. You can wander into something super, super interesting, like a cave with some really cool stuff happening in it, or you can just like run into an anomaly and be murdered right away. It's really relentless. But it has this tendency to combine that kind of like super hauntingly beautiful landscape with this danger and this feeling that anything can come out and destroy you and kill you at any point. So maybe I didn't say that super eloquently, but it's good in that regard. It's good to just log into or boot up and hang out in that way.
I do intend to play it. I have it. Once my Steam Deck is up, then I'll probably be playing it on there.
Yeah,
on my television.
It's doesn't take a lot of the lessons of modern day FPSs. Like it just kind of lets you go out there and learn how to manage that world on your own.
That's cool.
Which, sometimes I'm in the mood for, sometimes I'm not, but I appreciate what they're doing.
Okay, Ash, you're up.
I am up. I'm going to go with a game that I know nobody here has played. Arranger. There's a subtitle with that. Like it's a ranger something.
Swapping adventure or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Am I right? Did anybody else here play it?
I did not play it, even though I know basically everyone that worked on it. And so it's a little embarrassing that I did not play it. But no, I didn't.
Oh, shame on you.
Sorry, Dave.
I love little puzzle games like this. This is a sweet little thing. It's a really clever puzzle game where like this woman moves throughout the world in like a really different way. Instead of like it's tile based, and instead of like moving from one tile to the other, like the tiles, the way she moves is that the tiles move, and you use that to
moves all the tiles in a row with her, or a row or a column.
Yeah, and you use that to like get across the map and like solve puzzles. It's really sweet game with that little mechanic about how like she doesn't fit in her world because she moves like this, and she's trying to find like her space in the world. And I love the way that it marries that like that quirky movement puzzle mechanic with this like overarching narrative about like fitting in and finding your place. And I love it. It's a great little game. I think it's available on Netflix if you have a subscription, so you can put on your phone that way. Because I think it's a neat little like mobile puzzle game, like a doctor's office waiting room game. You should play it. It's a great game. It's really fun. The puzzles are great. Perfect.
Very good. Okay, me. I'll go with another game that starts with Hell. I played Hellblade 2. Anybody else play this?
Oh yeah, and that was on my list.
Yeah. I feel bad because I know that people that worked on this game listen to the show, but it really, really didn't work for me. It starts with a huge, long amount of exposition, like 5 minutes long. Which
all this game is exposition and walking.
Yeah.
That's like the whole point of the game, which is fine. But
it's like, I think if I hadn't played Indica, it would have worked a little better for me. But they're trying to present her like inner fraughtness with just like a bunch of overlapping words, which is hard for me to listen to in real life. It's very obnoxious. It never stops. And it like has better graphics than Indica, but they waste it on like rocks and dirt. It's like really, really good looking rocks and dirt. And it's like, I know what rocks and dirt look like though.
Yeah, it's that drawback of hyperrealism. Like you were when you were talking about Indica, you were talking about like hyperrealism and like how that can necessarily detract, but how Indica makes good use of it.
Yeah.
But Hellblade does not. It's just like one-for-one representation of a world that I could go outside and see. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. And the sound design, incredible. I don't know that is enough to carry a game.
Yeah, it's got great lighting and the textures are amazing, and like the water and the fire and everything, but it's like it's wasted on like normal ass stuff. Just like I don't care, unfortunately. So like I found it unfortunately like kind of boring and annoying. The combat was okay, but it's just sort of patterns. I was just holding up for like the first half hour of the game. I was holding up, and that's all you could do is hold up. And I wasn't engaged by what was happening because I didn't play the first game. I didn't care about this character. I really was really annoyed by all the Furies yelling at me. And so it was just like running around rocks, getting screamed at by ladies, and a guy who sounds like Kodos from The Simpsons, the alien Kodos. Is
that the big
like,
green tentacle monster?
Yeah. The voice of her father sounds so much like Kodos from The Simpsons. I played half of it. It's a short game. I played half of it, and I was just like, I don't need to do this anymore, and I stopped. I feel bad. Sorry to everyone that worked on it. It was like super not for me. Anyone else play it? I guess you did, Ash.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
No, I did not. I played some of the first one, and I guess I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with holding up sometimes. I guess that's my feedback.
Yeah, holding up can be cool. But like Indica showed how you could do that whole sort of idea so much better. Okay, well let's move along now to Kris Graft. What do you got next?
Oh, geez, I played a lot of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
Hell yeah.
Sure. That's cool.
That cool. I mean, I don't know what else like there is to say about it. I mean, I loved playing.
It's cool that it exists. It's got it has doesn't it also have CVS2 in it? Or is that a different one? Different collection.
CVS 2.
Capcom versus SNK 2. Is that in a different collection? I forget.
Oh, I think it might be because there's a Capcom versus SNK collection that they have out too. I believe.
Okay.
I believe.
Right.
I'm not sure. Do not quote me.
That sounds right though. But I mainly focus on the Marvel versus Capcom games.
What's your who's your main team? Who do you main?
I like
it's just the Marvel games. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like the Wolverine, Ryu, and Spider-Man.
That's cool. It's cool using Spider-Man. It's like when I was playing in the arcade, all the scrubs were using Cyclops because his beam fills the screen.
Yeah, fills the whole screen. So yeah, that's awesome.
Very good. Very good. Ash.
All right. Next one. Frank's not here, so he won't be able to object. Echoes of Wisdom. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the fact that finally Zelda gets her own game. I did not like the fact that I feel like she's underutilized in it. And I talk about this in my review. You get all these different things that you can use to solve puzzles and overcome things, but you will find that you default to either turning into Link and using his sword, and you're using beds and trampolines for all of the platforming stuff. I wish there was a way that the game forced you to make use of the other more obscure echoes that you have at your disposal to just to tax your brain just a little bit more. And I think the game represents a larger issue that I have with Nintendo and how they utilize their female characters who are not Samus. It's just real baby mode ass games, and the people who enjoy Zelda and Princess Peach are they run the gamut, and there's nothing wrong with baby mode games. That's what Nintendo is known for, but they're also really good at striking a balance between games that are for kids but also appeal to adults. And for some reason with Princess Peach and Zelda, they stop at the for kids part and don't add the for adults part too, and I just don't understand why.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't play it, but that is in line with what I have heard. I may as well continue talking about Nintendo baby mode games because I played 1 hour of Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Oh, I did. That's not the game I thought you was going to say, but okay, it works for me.
You can't move the camera. Found that annoying. The battle system is fine, but has a very for kids kind of vibe. And it is full of here's how you enter a menu. You hit the A button to enter a menu. Don't forget that you can hit the A button to enter a menu. That kind of talking constantly. And the battle system is one of those where it's very, very basic, but you can't just mash because it has timing based stuff. And so it's you can't just grind in it because you have to pay attention, but it's not interesting enough to make you want to pay attention. So that was Mario and Luigi Brothership. I had to make my goddamn Switch work to play this game, and did not like. I hope the Switch 2 works, and then that'll be really cool.
I hope it works too.
I hope it works.
I hope it works.
Yeah. Okay, Kris Graft, your turn.
And I'm running low because I know that y'all probably talked about some of these. I mean, you had to have talked about Metaphor already.
We did.
Metaphor
di Fantazio.
You can't do it as good as Frank.
No, I can't.
So it doesn't affect me as much.
Yeah,
Thank God.
We didn't ask why that was the one Persona that Frank actually played. Why was that the first one? And why did he finish it? I should have interrogated that a little more.
Yeah, he should write in. If you're listening, Frank, write in and explain yourself.
He'll never hear this. He'll never hear this. We can say anything about him that we want.
I think Frank is a wonderful person.
Yeah, get him.
He can be. If anything, just to discuss, I mean, Palworld, is that?
Oh, yeah. Nope, not on my list.
We didn't talk about it. Go for it.
Hasn't? Okay. Yeah. That was a fun ride for a little bit. I mean, I think everyone knows that it's basically a mix of
guns.
Pokemon with guns, and it's Rust kind of gameplay, DayZ style. So to me, that was kind of appealing, mainly because I was playing with friends, mainly because I thought it was just so ridiculous and funny. But
People lost
it was
their
fun.
minds over Palworld. Like I would get notifications from the BBC like almost daily after that game came out. Like, hey, can you please come on our business podcast and talk about like Palworld? And I set a reminder for myself to like, let's check in on the player count for this game in like 3 months. And it's still at like 1 million people. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it has the juice, but like it has completely disappeared from like the consciousness and the zeitgeist, except for like the whole Nintendo is suing it. Like that game, okay. I sorry, I was not familiar with your game, Palworld Studios. Good on you.
Yeah. So you liked it though, Kris Graft?
Yeah, it was fun. It was really like my interest in it almost exactly followed the zeitgeist. Like when it dropped off, it was just like it was after like a month and a half or something, and then it was just like gone from my memory until I started researching this for this podcast. It's like, oh yeah, that came out in like January. So
sure did.
Yeah, count it.
Okay, Ash.
Next game on my list, I don't think anybody here has played Ace Attorney Investigations 2. I am an Ace Attorney freak. Don't ask me what that name is in Japanese. I know a little bit of it, but I'm pretty sure.
Saibon.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure I would have mispronounced it. But finally, Capcom, in their infinite wisdom, decided to collect all of the Ace Attorney, the Ace Attorney Investigations,
right?
Yes, the Miles Edgeworth games all together, and finally released them, including the first Western release of Ace Attorney Investigations 2. Love all of those games. I can't get enough of them. I didn't really like I enjoyed kind of, but not all that much. The great Ace Attorney, like the one where they go back in time.
The one in the past, yeah.
Yeah, like those were fun and okay, but I didn't like it enough to finish it. And so like I've been fiending for like a new one. Like I prefer Phoenix Wright. Like I love Apollo Justice and Athena Sykes and all those people, but I want Phoenix. Give me Phoenix, goddammit.
Yeah.
So like those older games, like the games of the past don't appeal to me, but I love Miles Edgeworth and I love his games. I love the first Ace Attorney Investigations. So I was really excited about to play Ace Attorney Investigations 2. I enjoyed it. I appreciate the through line between the first one and the second one. It's kind of hard to remember it because it's been a minute since I played it, but I had a good time with it. I can't wait. Give me Phoenix Wright 6. I think that's the number that we're on.
They got to let Shu Takumi make some more new games because he created the Ace Attorney series and then he created Ghost Trick.
Oh fuck! I love Ghost Trick.
Just let him make a third game. Let him make a third type of game because it'll be good. Just go for it, Capcom.
I played Ghost Trick for the first time on vacation a couple of years ago on the Switch when it came out, and like, damn, if that's not a perfect, like, you know, the equivalent of taking a book to the beach to read. It is the perfect equivalent of that. Fucking love that game. That was a great game.
It's very good. Okay, me. I'm going to do one that I played a lot of because I had to judge it for a competition. It is called Banishers. Anybody else play Banishers?
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, so that's what's very funny to me about this. One of the things that's very funny about this game to me is it's like a AAA-ish thing from Don't Nod, who
that's
like Life is Strange and other things, and it's like a big. Pretty big game. I didn't find a lot of people that have heard of it. There's another one like that on this list.
I know what this game is. Oh, I wanted to play this, but it completely fell off.
Oh, you, I
would like this game, wouldn't I?
No.
Oh.
Well, we'll see. I'm actually incredibly curious to see whether you would like it because basically, so you start at this, it's one of those games where if one were to, like, we would totally disagree about the reasons, but if you were ever to talk about forced wokeness.
So
no. What happened is they have a black female protagonist at the start.
And that's what I remember about it.
Yeah. Well, she dies very quickly. But the way that they wanted to do something, but they neither thought about how to do it nor consulted about anybody about how to do it. So like she shows up into the new colonies, into the whatever the United States are in the 1600s, and people like assume she's the servant of her male partner, who is actually her assistant. He is her assistant. But the way that they do that is they're like, oh, your serving woman may do whatever, but then she's like, actually, I'm the banisher that is here to help you. And then they're like, oh, okay, and then that's it. Like every time they say something like a little bit or very racist, but just like charged. It's not like they don't use any N words or anything. They just like say something, and then she's like, no, I'm the one that's in charge. And then they're like, okay, and it's never addressed again. Also, despite them talking about serving women or whatever, there are no other black people.
Oh no!
In America. There aren't any other ones, and also then she dies, and then the white guy becomes the protagonist anyway. Her assistant becomes the protagonist, and then also they have an indigenous woman there, a First
Brandon,
Nations woman.
You can't make a game that stars a black lady
It's true.
in 2024. Like that's not allowed.
You can't do it. But yeah, there's a First Nations woman, and everybody else is speaking the accent from whatever country they came from, because it's America in the 1600s. So there's like Dutch accents, there's British accents, there's Irish accents, there's French accents. The indigenous woman speaks perfect 2024 American English because they didn't know what to do. And she has a lot of like land back type things to say, but they're all just so like out of nowhere. They're just like shot out of a cannon. It was really embarrassing to go through. But anyway, as for the game itself, you can't advance the dialogue, all of which is very dark and dire and not very fun. It's got some open world stuff. The interesting part is sort of when you have to investigate and look for ghosts and try to solve their problems, like side quests with these ghosts, and it's kind of interesting. But it's supposed to be sort of like the spiritual sequel to Vampire, which is a game I know Kris Graft liked, Vampire with a Y. And it's supposed to have like meaningful choices, but the choices are all like, do you kill this person or do you let them live? And if you kill them, then they aren't accessible anymore, and all the things they do as an NPC are not available. And if you let them live, then like they open a store that you can use. It's like not a big choice. But the thing is, like, if you sacrifice all of them, you might have a chance at reviving your partner, the dead black lady.
Okay, that makes the choice easy.
Right. But also she doesn't want to be revived because she does kind of, but not really, but they don't really push it hard enough. Anyway, it's a mess. Is what I would say. It's a mess. I would be really curious to see if you had the same reaction as me when you played it. You might have a worse reaction than me if you played it.
I'm interested because I remember seeing this and I remember being like into it based on the trailers that I saw. It's like, oh, like this black lady and this white dude are like really involved in this relationship, and I'm interested to see how this plays out. But like this is a video podcast. Yeah, I made a lot of faces during your description, and none of them were good.
Yeah, so. And I looked up who wrote it, and it was like 2 Caucasian people from Quebec or whatever. So that's Banishers. Kris Graft, your turn.
Yeah. And these all have to be from this year, ideally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Ruined a lot of years.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear, like, if this is not from 2024. I'm still curious to hear what it is.
Well, I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel of like the games that I've played. I thought that I played a lot from this year, and I'm looking at it as like that's from 2023. So no, but I did play the new Prince of Persia Metroidvania style game.
We got that.
Which one? Because there's 2.
Is it the Vania one?
Yeah, it's the Vania one.
Okay, unfortunately, we got a buzzer. Yeah, on that one.
The Lost Crown. Yeah, the Lost Crown.
Yeah, we did that one.
I've played a few hours of it. I haven't finished it yet, but I am a sucker for a good Metroidvania. You probably talked about Animal well too.
Yep,
we did.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So I've been playing Tokyo Xtreme Racer, the new one, but that's like January 20th or something, 2025.
You know what? Let's do it anyway. It's still
fiscal year 2024.
Let's do it anyway.
So yeah,
put it in there.
Tokyo Xtreme Racer. It is.
I'm so glad it's back.
Yeah, it's really good. It's something where you can just ride around in a circle and flash the guy with your brights and start racing. And there is just a nice It's comforting. It's like a comfort food video game for me.
Yeah, it's a great. So I haven't played the new one. I played a bunch of the old ones, and the thing that's great to me is like this is probably not common knowledge, but no publisher wants to fund a racing game. The common knowledge is that racing games don't do well. Nobody really wants them. And then this came out and it had like 14,000.
Unless you're Mario Kart.
Yeah, unless you're Mario Kart. This came out and had 14,000 concurrent players, which is just...
It did?
Yeah, it's great. And it's still in early access, basically. And it is just like you go around on the various freeways in Japan and you race rivals. And you just have to stay ahead of them for a certain amount of time, or they stay ahead of you for a certain amount of time. And then if you lose, you find another target. And if you win, then you find another target. But
no, if you lose, I just catch up to him and I flash him again.
Oh yeah,
you just go again.
And then you go again. It's just really it's like one-on-one racing, and so it's always this like tension of kind of like rubber banding, but works well. And
I'm worried that the 14,000 people playing it, like that's just the audience, like that's it.
No, but concurrent is like a big deal. So
concurrent, that's true.
No, it's been selling really well.
Maybe there's like 16,000.
Yeah, they just all played it on the same day. Any other thoughts about this iteration though, since I haven't played it?
Yeah, the graphics are nice. I mean, the physics are like very arcadey, like throughout, like ever since like Gran Turismo is kind of when the degradation or like that arcade feel was progressively falling out of favor, like with reviewers and stuff. So it's nice to have something that comes back. It doesn't feel like you're driving a car. I mean, neither does Gran Turismo, like when I'm using a game controller. So
I really like the arcade style. So I'm it's nice to see that it's possible to succeed.
Yeah, for real. That's
okay, Ash.
Too. I wonder, yeah. Thanks for letting me talk about Tokyo Xtreme Racer.
I guess since we're talking about Princess of Persia, I'm going to bring up the other Prince of Persia game that came out last year. You can let me know if this counts or not, but it's in early access. But I guess the last game was in early access too. But the Rogue Prince of Persia, which was the Dead Cells people making a roguelike version of Prince of Persia.
Oh, I forgot that even existed.
Yeah, because it came out the same day as Hades 2, and that was the whole big thing about it. Yeah.
Blasted.
I played that. I did not expect it to be as good as The Lost Crown, and it wasn't. It was okay. It was okay. Like, I guess that's because, it's an early access game. They have to, get it out there and, get all the kinks out and whatever. And it felt not like a polished game. Like, it felt like a complete game. It wasn't like bad or like poorly done or whatever. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is a thing. I get it. I see what they're doing. It's somewhat interesting, but not interesting enough to get me to play it more than what I did. I feel for them, man, because they had like a bad confluence of like Hades early access had just come out and they did delay it a week, but I don't think that was enough for them to because people are still like, oh, I forgot that came out. Yeah, because Hades 2 was also, that same time. Sorry to this man, but
yeah, it's rough.
It is rough. I hope that it can find its audience because it's not a bad game. And I appreciated what Ubisoft was trying to do with licensing out their properties to other people so they could do stuff with it so they don't like languish while we wait for the original Prince of Persia remasters. And I hope that, more developers and Ubisoft in particular continue to do that because I think that's a neat idea to leverage your IP and see interesting things that are not just like remasters or sequels or whatever. Like take these things and put different twists on them. And I think that worked really well for The Lost Crown. And I think that can work really well for the Rogue Prince, just maybe not the Rogue Prince as it is right now.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna try to do a quick one. Dubio. Anybody played Dubio?
No, we haven't.
Yeah. This is a very would have been a hit on the iPhone in 2006 type of a game. It is like simple black in another color graphics. It's got a simple concept with interesting execution of like hold and release and tap and it's like a platforming thing where you start a little circle and you just do all these little platform puzzles and It's not exactly for me, but I appreciate it. I appreciate what it is because people don't really make those kinds of games anymore. It really gave me a nostalgic feeling for 20 years ago. It was the kind of indie game that would have like won an Indiecade award at the time for like innovation of control or something like that.
But what is the game?
It's a little platformer. It's a little 2D side-on platformer that is all touch and hold and release controls. And it's just the kind of thing, and it's paid. There's no microtransactions. It's just the kind of thing that we don't really make anymore, and doesn't really have a place to succeed the way that it used to in the older times. And I do actually kind of recommend. I feel like a lot of people that listen to this show would like it. It's not, like I said, not quite for me, but I thought it was really good. Like it absolutely executed what it tried to execute. It has clever jumping puzzles and feels good to play. It just, I don't know that it's very easy to succeed as a paid puzzle platformer on mobile phones in 2024, 2025 now. Okay.
You'd be surprised because kids be on them phones.
It's true. They do. Okay, Kris Graft, it's your turn.
There's a game called Cruel that I played like a couple hours of. It kind of it's like an old school like first person shooter. Is kind of based on that.
It's not exactly a boomer shooter, or is it?
It's not a boomer shooter. I wouldn't put it in that category. It's something that's kind of stylized like a Quake.
Right.
But
wait, isn't that what a boomer shooter is? What's the difference between a boomer shooter and a FPS?
Sure, you can call it a boomer shooter, but I mean,
it's just like, kind of a negative term, I guess, at this point.
Oh,
but
boomer as in not as in gun go boom, but boomer
like,
as
okay,
in
boomer.
Yeah. It's because they're old. It's because it's like oldie style.
Okay, today I learned.
Yeah, so it's like one of those early access. I think it would be considered like a roguelike kind of game where it's just super hard. At the beginning, you basically make some kind of deal with the devil, and then it's one of it feels like 90s like edgy game developer kind of game, but it's has more modern mechanics.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now it's Ash's turn, right?
I'm gonna put another one out there, another early access game, Hades 2. I played the early access for Hades 2, and then I very, very pointedly stopped playing because I didn't want to do too much. I came to the first Hades like after it had already been out of early access, and so I could just like play it like normally, even though people had been playing that game for like, I guess, at least a year before I got to it. And I thought it was a fucking phenomenal game. I don't think it won Game of the Year that it was out. I think The Last of Us did, and I think I've been eternally pissed off by that. But I stopped playing Hades 2 because I didn't want to like binge it and get too much into it. I really enjoyed the different character, her relationship to the other characters from Hades. I really appreciate the differences in combat, the way that, she now goes up to the surface instead of trying to escape from hell, all those different things. Good game. Supergiant, take your time, because when we let you cook, you make incredible experiences. So I don't want to rush you, but I also want to rush you because I would like to play the full release version of that game. Did anybody else play early access of it, or do you leave early access games alone?
Yeah. So I've probably played Hades, have put the most hours into Hades of anyone that has not actually escaped from hell. So I've played it so much, but I think that's like a testament to like the way that they did the narrative in that game and the way that they built that game.
And did you play Hades 2?
Hades 2. Yes, Hades 2. I did. I started it, and then I started feeling bad because I hadn't gotten out of hell from the first one. So I started playing the first one again. So that's my Hades 2 start. I'm really looking forward to it a lot. But
you feel that you owe it to who to escape hell first.
I have to do that first. I don't know. I just had guilt feelings, so I have them both installed still. But I still pick up Hades 1.
Is this because you're a Christian that you feel you have to escape hell before? You think it's related?
I think it probably has more to do with like some kind of undiagnosed condition.
I would really love a modern take on Dante's Inferno, or is the concept
newer than the 2009 amazing.
Yeah. You mean like remastered? That's what you mean.
No, that's not what I mean.
EA's Dante's Inferno remastered.
I would like a modern take that incorporates modern themes of Christianity into a video game thoughtfully. I think that would be interesting to see.
Good old Dante. Cool.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. It is. It's my turn.
Okay, yes, it is.
And
no, wait, it's my turn. Did Kris just go?
No, you went.
No, it's your turn.
You went.
Okay,
you
I'm
did
sorry.
Hades too.
That's right. You're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna do GranBlue Fantasy Relink. I'm trying to. I realize there's some that I have a lot to say about, but I should not. I can't take too much time. GranBlue Fantasy Relink. First of all, very, very hard to remember the title of that game for me. If I didn't have it written right here, I would have been like Grand Thing something. I don't know. It's too much. So this is a game where I was very intrigued.
Fighting game.
No, this is not the fighting game. This is the action RPG Monster Hunter like, almost Monster Hunter like ish.
There's a fighting game. What the fuck is?
There's a fighting game. Yeah, it's GranBlue something something.
Yeah,
GranBlue something else.
The racing version.
GranBlue Kart. Yeah, there's another one. And there's also the mobile game, which is what this is all based on. But anyway, this game has a lot of story that I don't understand, maybe because I didn't play the mobile game. But you can run on rooftops. I love when you can do that. But this is the first RPG that I have played where I availed myself of the skip cutscene button constantly. I just constantly skipped them because I didn't. It's so talky. They're like always talking, and they have so little to say that the one paragraph summary that it gives you when you skip cutscene, it's just expedient, because they're all just talking all the time. And during battle, they're talking. I read this the summary of the skipped cutscene, because it gives me a paragraph, and it's like they went over here and then this happened. I'm like, oh, that's actually all I needed to know. So those
feel bad.
Summaries were very good. The reason I played it is because I saw it on How Long to Beat and was very impressed by the times, because to beat main story, 11 hours for an RPG, which is very short. Main story with extras, 35 hours. So that's if you do the side quests and things. Completionist, 120 hours. Or no, it was like 300. It was something ridiculous. So it's a game where there's a main story that you can finish. And then there's a bunch more stuff that happens after that you can do. And there's all these side quests. And then there are just these huge monster battles that you can also team up with real humans to do, that are like Monster Hunter style, big, almost MMO, but with more interaction type, like boss raid type things. And it's I think the action is pretty good. The environments are nice. The vibes are pretty decent. Everything about it is good, except the story is like absolute nonsense. And everybody is always constantly talking during battle. And since I switched the game to Japanese, it's like, I wasn't really paying attention to it during that part. But it's got fun action set pieces. It's got like ship battles and all kinds of neat stuff. But it's like too anime. That's the bottom line. It's too anime, and I don't know who all these characters are, and I don't care. The end. Okay, Kris Graft, you got another one? You must have played Marvel Rivals. You didn't?
No, but I kind of wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. No good. No good on the Marvel Rivals.
Oh, no, I didn't play it either. Like I wanted to, but
I played it. I didn't like it at all. Really? Not to steal a turn, but it
wasn't on my list. So
yeah, it's like one of those.
Some people really like it. Like so I wanted to check it out.
They do. They really like it, and so I was kind of interested in that. But like the characters I chose, they all of them have like different attack pacings, and some of them are really slow. And there's no real tutorial, so you have to kind of figure out what all the actions do. But also you have to figure out what your objective is. Like it dumps you into a room, and then it's like, am I supposed to defend this? Am I supposed to go over there? Am I supposed like there were I played
it's like Helldivers II.
I played like 10. Yeah. But I think like what I was thinking to myself is if I liked shooting things in this game, I would figure it out. And maybe that's why Helldivers 2 worked. But I didn't. And so I didn't figure it out. And also, obviously, it matches you with people of similar skill level. So people who have only played like 5 matches before. And they don't know what they're doing either. And so it's like everybody's running around.
Did you play Overwatch, Brandon?
I didn't.
You did not?
I did not. But I
so
feel like, and I felt like if I had played a game like Overwatch, the various objectives would probably have been obvious to me because it felt like they came from other popular games, but I don't play those kinds of games. And so I had no context. And so I was just running around being like, well, I can shoot guys, I can shoot them, but it doesn't help me win necessarily because I have to occupy this area for a certain amount of time. I figured that out. Or you have to defend this area.
All those kinds of games. They're just the kinds of games that I wish that I was good at. Because like, wow, that looks like it would be fun. That sounds fun. And you play it and it's just like the worst experience. That's so bad.
I don't wish that I was good at those games. I enjoyed playing them because I enjoyed the shit out of Overwatch when it first came out. But like, and that was good because, you know, I had those games are good if you have people to play with. If you do not have people to play with, and you don't already come from like a baseline level, like these games aren't necessarily all that interesting to me. No, it's not going to jive from you.
And but if you don't love Marvel as well.
But if you either have people to play with or if you enjoy those kinds of games, then yes, they're for you. If you don't have either of those things, just don't even try.
Yep. Okay, but I don't want to take your turn.
So that's not on the list. Marvel?
Yeah. No.
It's not. We'll probably talk.
But we talked about it. And so I think it counts.
Yeah. Blink. Thronefall, can we talk about that?
What's that?
Thronefall is like a really streamlined tower defense strategy game where you're not controlling clicking and dragging like you might in like StarCraft or Dota or something like that. It's like you're controlling a main character, and I think that mechanic might have been done before.
Yeah,
but it's more automated, so it's challenging, but it's
this game is popular.
Thronefall.
It has 19,000 reviews on Steam. It's very nice looking. It's very striking.
It's a good one. You should check it out.
I will. You say you've been apologizing about going for normie stuff or whatever or popular things, but like I hadn't heard of this, and it's like obviously incredibly popular. Don't sell yourself short, Kris Graft.
Yeah, I still find things.
Ash turn.
I'm going to bring up something that I think both of you should have played or have experience with that I'm surprised that nobody has talked about. Caves of Cud?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I did not play it.
No?
It's on Steam.
I've been wanting to. It's been all the buzz. It's definitely one of those games I see people talking about on social media. I'm just like, this sounds so cool. Like but is it like Dwarf Fortress levels of
I don't know if it's quite there.
Well, I feel like they occupy the same space in my brain as Dwarf Fortress in that these are games that came out 11 years ago, but like have an official release like last year. Because Dwarf Fortress, I think, did the same.
So Caves of Cud, I just looked it up on my Steam account. Last played September 2020.
Wow.
Well, you still can talk about
2 minutes.
Oh. Well,
Blammo.
There's that idea. Do you want me to like switch to a game that I actually played and can talk about then? Okay, Tales of Kenzera Zao. It's a beautiful, another Metroidvania, not as tight or as polished as The Lost Crown, but if you've got a good enough narrative that can like carry me personally through any kind of like issues with the actual gameplay itself, and I honestly didn't have all that much, but it's this beautiful fucking Afro-futuristic game.
This is Abubakar's game, right?
Yeah. Abubakar Salim, he's a voice actor. He played Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins. He's a main character in the new Game of Thrones series. My experience with this game is exactly this. He came out at the Game Awards, I believe, at the end of 2023 in like this full like a suit, but like it had like African themes on it or whatever. And I'm like, I want whatever you're selling. And then he's selling me this like Afro-futuristic Metroidvania. I double want exactly what you're selling. And then I got this game and I'm like, I am so happy that I have bought what you're selling because it is just this just beautiful meditation on like grief and loss, because the thing is that like this guy, his father has passed away and he processes his grief through this like story of this young warrior kid that has to go through all of these different levels or whatever to like do something. I don't remember exactly what the story is, but it's a beautiful game. It's good Metroidvania tactics or whatever. Man, I love when games are like that tell good stories, that marry story and gameplay. Yeah, and do something fucking different. Show me something different. Show me something that I have familiarity with, but have not like experienced it before. Like Abubakar is like, he's African, like from the continent. I'm not, but you know, we've got that, like, you know, we're cousins essentially. And I enjoy so much seeing those kinds of stories from, you know, cultures that are like similar to mine or touch on mine, but are not the same as mine. And Tales of Kenzera is exactly one of those games, especially with the whole thing about like dealing with grief and things like that. It's a perfect game. It's a fantastic game. You should play it. I don't know what else to say.
Going along those lines, I'll mention Arco, which is from like a Mesoamerican perspective.
I remember Arco.
I had a little trouble with the battle system at first, especially on console. I feel like it was really made for PC, and the console controls are kind of wiggly. But the battle system does get more robust. It's basically like it's a tactics game with movement, which is, I guess, something that Demon School also does. But it's focused more on range versus melee attacks, and kind of trying to you have a puzzle of all of these enemies being in certain spots, and there are things you can explode and whatever, and try to manage them because you don't have a lot of characters, and you're usually overwhelmed. One thing that bugged me is like that it's trying to tell like an interesting tale and have some moral choices in it, but I find it annoying when a game tells me that moral choices are very important, but then forces me to steal something from my dad, which I wouldn't do. Which is, it happens right at the start of the game. It's very odd.
Okay, yeah, it's The Last of Us, where it's like you kill something and then the game makes you feel bad for doing it. Like you made me do it. Like come on.
Yeah, there's only that it only happens at the beginning, and then the rest of the choices are actually kind of yours, and they don't make you feel that bad. But I thought the choices got better. I thought that it was an interesting thing about it's like an anti-colonialist story against the Spanish, and it's difficult but not impossible, and the choices did get more interesting. But unfortunately, I encountered a bug which caused me to not be able to get a secret thing that I was on track for getting, and there was no way back, and so I stopped playing it. But
yeah, I stopped playing stuff too when that happens.
Yeah, I was like,
no,
well,
there's no point.
Yeah, there goes the 5 hours of that I played. But it was interesting. I actually do think that it's worth checking out for people, and it does a lot of interesting, curious stuff, and like it takes place across 3 different characters, and they or possibly one character across multiple different ages. I can't remember, but it's cool to play as an old grizzled weirdo kind of murderer who becomes useful to in a scenario where violence has become necessary because of colonialism. Anyway, pretty good. Check it out. Okay, Kris Graft, your turn.
Yeah. This year has been, we don't have to talk about this too much, but like this year I've been doing like physical games. Do those count? Like
sure.
Pinball and
hell yeah, talk about some pinball.
Did one come out in 2024 that you liked?
Yeah, it's called South Park, the pinball machine. I got really good. I was really good at that. There's a place in Austin called Pinballs with a Z, and they have some really good old arcade games. And I was, for some reason, I got really good at South Park. I don't watch South Park. I never had cable when that was. Oh, it's still out and going. But for some reason, like that game just really connected with me.
What was different about the systems? Like, was it the scoring or because I really like when they have like environmental things that you can do in the pinball world. Like,
yeah, I think that it is the freaking sound effects that were the funniest part.
How many times does it say they killed Kenny? His farting noises.
Yeah. So like me and my friends, we just got really into pinball. We all downloaded this app where you actually like take a picture of the marquee, and then you upload your score And it's like, so it's, you make a worldwide quote unquote scoreboard.
That is incredible. What is this app?
Yeah, it's called, oh my gosh. Pindigo.
That is so cool.
Yeah, then it just kind of gives you a little competitive thing. But we all really got into that. We were playing Pinball FX again. And that's kind of what I did for like the second calendar quarter of this year.
Very good.
It's not really a 2024 video game.
That's okay.
I dig it. That is new to me. So
okay. Well, actually, should we let you go?
Yeah.
Since you have like 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you've just finished one off.
Yeah. I'm digging into pinball. I won't even start talking about how I got really into Warhammer and how I helped organize a thing called Brewhammer at our local brewery, getting into that tabletop game.
That can be your recommendation before you go, is to join
My recommendation
your
is
Brewhammer.
Absolutely, yeah. Brewhammer in Pflugerville, Texas. We do it every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go meet Kris Graft.
Okay.
He's
Thanks,
delightful.
guys.
Thank you.
thank you.
For
It was
showing
nice
up.
to meet you. Hopefully I have an
Nice to
occasion to
meet
see you
you.
again.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Same here. All right. Later on.
Bye.
Hi. Okay. Do you want to keep going?
Yes, let's keep going. I have so many more.
I don't know that I can do like all 44 of your games, Brandon.
Okay, I'll try.
That's a lot.
I could shotgun them real quick. I could try to. How many more do you have left?
I have 6 more. Do you want to go 6 for 6?
Sure.
Like just pick your best 6. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Okay. Is it my turn?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's your turn.
So getting back to baby mode Nintendo games, Princess Peach Showtime. It feels like I played that game forever ago, but that came out in 2024.
Oh, wow.
I believe, as I recall correctly, this is Princess Peach's second standalone game, other than the one on the DS. One. Yeah,
the emotions
exactly.
one.
The emotions one, and it's another one of those things where it's like, dude, I get what you're going for, and I actually really enjoyed some of the set pieces in that, because it's essentially like, what if they made a Final Fantasy X-2 with like the dress spheres, but with Princess Peach? Like, it's that ethos, which sounds incredible.
It does.
As a pitch, perfect. As an actual game that they executed on, less so, because I wish they had done more. I wish they had not made it so baby mode, man. Like, give me a little bit more meat on these bones. Like, we've been fiending for a standalone Princess Peach game since that damn DS game came out. And I appreciate the way that they, Princess Peach as a character in like maybe Super Mario Odyssey or whatever. Like, the dudes are fighting over her and she's like, fuck both of you. I'm off to have my own adventure. Come on, Toad. Like, do that shit. Like, if she was like, had her own like Princess Peach treasure tracker, all for it. But I get it. Could have been better.
Yeah, it seems like they don't know what to do.
With women? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. They just
Except Samus, and you can just pretty much ignore the fact that that's a lady,
right? Because she's like sort of a stand-in for a robot, basically.
Yeah, because she's got a big mecha suit that she's running around in.
Shame. Okay, Unicorn Overlord. That's what I'm gonna do.
Took that off my list.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Looks real cool. Has cool music. Has vibes and intrigue. I can really see all the work that they put in, which I always appreciate when you can see how much work this was. And it kind of made me feel like if the Saturn had became the dominant console instead of the PlayStation, and things progressed in that direction, not just from how it looks, but also in the design ethos. I do feel like the localization is a bit heavy-handed language-wise. It's not full-on forsooth ye olde.
I was gonna say it's like thee and thou and shit, right?
But it kind of is like that. It's like on the edge of that. But then when you listen to the Japanese itself, they're basically like, how's it going? What's up, guys? So, obviously it was a choice that they made, and it might be folks felt it was right for the game, but it didn't really, I didn't love that.
I needed Unicorn Overlord because I've been fiending for this kind of like tactics game. Fire Emblem didn't do it for me at all. The new Fire Emblem with the toothpaste-haired lady didn't do it. Advance Wars, I waited for that patiently after Nintendo delayed it because of the war in Ukraine. I played that. That shit didn't move me at all. Triangle Strategy, I was like, I played like 30 hours of that game, and like at the end of it, I'm like, this isn't really doing what I wanted it to do. And then Unicorn Overlord came, and I'm like, oh, thank God. I needed something. It finally did it.
Okay.
I didn't finish the game, but it did it. Like it finally scratched that itch. So I'm happy for it. And I think that's the first Vanillaware game I've ever played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the better ones, I would say. One interesting little thing about that was I asked my partner's sisters if they... Well, actually, I asked one of my partner's sisters if she played it. And she's like, yeah, I played it a little bit, around 30 hours. And I was like, okay, so you played it more than me. And I asked her some questions about how she got along with it, which I'm about to ask you as well. And then her other sister was like, it came up that she played it too. And she played it for 90 hours.
Oh, damn.
They're an odd group. They're not very forthcoming with information. I had to really pull that out. Yeah, no, I played it for 90 hours. Anyway, the thing that I was asking them, and which I will now ask you, is how intentional you were able to be with your tactics, because it was hard to make it intentional for me because there's a lot of unit types, and the game tells you this one unit is better against that one unit. So kind of remember that, please. But then it also encourages you to mix all your units up into like combos. And so how that plays out is, to me, just a mystery. Like I try things and I'm like, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. But I only played it for like 12 hours, but I never learned how matchups actually work. And it's ultimately not that important in the game, because if you just put your strong units together, you can make it work. But I never actually learned the tactics, and I'm wondering if you did.
I don't think I did, and we're running into that problem where I played this game so long ago that it's kind of hard to remember the details and the ins and outs. I just remember feeling very good about it. Like I'm one of those weirdos that love that super crunchy, like super political, dynastic implications, world problems. That's why Final Fantasy XII is like one of my favorite Final Fantasies, because it has all of that shit. But I really enjoyed all of that together, but I don't remember anything about the tactics at all whatsoever. I do remember the whole thing with like the combos where you pair one unit with another and then like synergize or whatever the fuck. But if pressed as I am now, I can't tell you anything about any of that because it's been so long.
Like that's fine. But to me, it does come down to the classic Vanillaware problem of them wanting to do something super complicated, then realizing it's too complicated, and then scaling it back so that doing it the complicated way doesn't matter, which is a problem that a lot of their games have had, and it's very strange. But anyway, I liked it anyway. I'm still gonna play through it, but I'm not gonna make a spreadsheet to figure out how it works. And I'm just gonna keep trial and erroring, and whatever, it'll be fine.
Nor should you, but the children yearn for Fire Emblem Awakening. Like, bring that shit back. Or give me 3 houses too. I don't know.
No toothpaste hair?
No toothpaste hair. I don't think I'd like that all that much. I kind of really didn't.
Okay.
They tried, but damn. Give me 3 houses too. Anyway, my next game, the Tomb Raider trilogy remastered. Little thing about me, I was not a gamer. I was forced to become a gamer because my male cousins who were my same age, they played video games. And because, when you go over your cousin's house, you have to play with them.
That's right.
So they made me play video games, and that's how I became a gamer. It was not like a natural thing. And that's fine. Works out for me. The way that manifested was that my mom's boyfriend gave me his PlayStation 1 and a bunch of games, like with no cases. Nice. On a spindle. And one of those games was Tomb Raider 2. And I fucking went crazy for it. Despite the fact that as a child, I never finished that game because it scared the shit out of me with like tigers jumping out. Yeah, all that shit.
Getting jump scared.
I don't remember how I looked this up because this was like super early internet. And I don't remember like, where the providence of like game cheat websites
or
Game
Facts.
It could have been. Absolutely could have been. But I had to look up.
Or the gaming sages or somebody.
Could have been. But I had to look up like a cheat to like get to skip levels to get to the end. And there's like this elaborate dance that you have to make Lara Croft do to like skip the levels. And it worked. And I'm pretty sure if you put a PlayStation in front of me, I could do it again. But I love those games. And so like when the remaster came out, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm into this because I didn't play 1 or 3. I only had 2. So I'm like, let me see, the other adventures that Laura got up to. And then I played these games, and there's because it's a remaster, like it does that thing with other remasters where you can hit a button and you can look at the old graphics or the new remastered graphics, and they've got different control schemes that have been updated and modernized or whatever. And I obviously played on, the old school version of the controls and the graphics and whatever. And I played it. Yeah, I played that shit and I'm like, what the fuck was 14-year-old Ashley thinking? Because this is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's too dark. These controls are bullshit. What the fuck? Because I couldn't play it. Like I have amassed over the years so much more knowledge and I don't know, default state as to what a game should feel like in my hands that when I went back to something, it just didn't feel right. And I'm like,
3D games have really evolved since those days, like very dramatically.
Significantly. And it's palpable. I felt it. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. It was my favorite game by virtue of the fact that it was one of the only games I had and I couldn't finish it.
Yeah. I forgot that remaster came out. I'm actually curious to try it with updated controls and things and see how I should check it out.
It don't feel that much better, being honest.
That's too bad.
Turn on the graphics though, so you can like see, because I did not realize how dark those games are. Like you can't see shit, and that's just like the default state.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try not to steal any from you. Here's
I don't
one.
think we will have much overlap. I really don't.
Okay, well, you did say that I should mention Black Myth Wukong when we were talking about it, so I'm not going to mention that one.
Oh, damn it.
Well, I don't want to take it from you, so you can keep yours in there.
You got a list of 40 more, so.
Yeah. I'm down to less than that now. Okay, I'm going to do a quick one. No, I'm going to do Penny's Big Breakaway.
Please do, because that game looks delightful.
So people who listened to the Gaiden episode will have heard me interview like half the people that worked on it, because I was talking to everybody from Evening Star. If you haven't listened to that episode, check it out. But Penny's Big Breakaway, it's got this weird thing that I see in modern game in modern animation, Western animation. I had trouble saying that for some reason, where the sound is kind of muted feeling. It feels like a little bit further away from me, and like there aren't always sounds where there should be. I found that a little odd, but it's pretty good. So it's ultimately it's an action platformer, and you do things with your yo-yo, and your yo-yo is kind of attached to like the aiming it on the right stick, and so you move with your left and you aim it with the right, and then there's a lot of platforming that's precision based on that. But it gets a little complex for my brain, and I don't like the camera. That's something that a lot of people complained about. They did it because of that aiming thing. So like your right stick has to be aiming toward like the object you're trying to attach to with your yo-yo or whatever. But it just didn't work for me because the camera is controlled by the computer essentially. And I understand why they did it that way, because they needed to show you where you could go, but it's not a decision that worked for me. And there's also I don't know how to say this, but there was something about in the interaction of everything that made me feel like I just would like squint at it with question marks over my head. It definitely came from a person's brain, which I really appreciate. And that person's brain is like so similar to mine, but they made a different decision it's like my gears are not clicking into place for me. It's very interesting. And I would love to have loved it. And I sort of recommend people try it because it's not enough people played it. And it's a very different idea of platforming and how to present that. And it does come from kind of like an older, like an evolution, sort of like I was saying with the Unicorn Overlord, an evolution of an older type of design. And that's all very interesting. It just didn't quite work for me, but it is interesting. And, interesting is better than good, in my opinion. So,
oh, absolutely. 100% all the time. I'm interested in Penny's Big Breakaway because whenever I see that kind of game along with like Freedom Planet, it kind of gets put in the same category as Sonic. And Sega hasn't made a good Sonic game. I didn't play Shadow Generations, so don't at me. But they haven't made a good.
That's actually one on my list. We should talk about that later.
Actually, Sonic. Oh wait, Sonic Superstars came out in 2023.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, that was
okay. Because I thought that was one of the games that I should have had on my list, and when you brought it up, I thought about that. But yeah,
so Penny's Big Breakaway is not Sonic feeling. It's like more knights than Sonic in some ways, except that you're walking around instead of flying. But there's a lot of like looping and swooping and getting along to things. sort of in between. It's definitely worth trying. It's worth trying.
In that vein, though, my next game is going to be Pepper Grinder that you reminded me that I've played. Every time you say something, like I'm reminded, like, oh shit, I played that game too, and my list keeps growing, so I feel a little bit better about how many games I played. Pepper Grinder is a cute little platformer. There's this little girl. She has a bunch of treasure. It gets stolen from her, and she has to get it back. So she has this like big drill that will pierce the heavens that she can use to like move through the environment, and it's really fun. It's not a Sonic like at all, but it's just a fun, cute game that has a lot of like platforming quirks to it. It's not exactly like Celeste, and I did not play Celeste, but it reminds me of Celeste. It's not super hard like Celeste can be, but it just reminds me of stuff like that. Like you have different textures that you can like use your drill to like go through. So it's like sand and ice and things like that. And it's fun. It's cute. There's collectibles. You get coins and you can unlock, cosmetics in the shop. Like it's a fun little cute game that I remember being like instantly enamored with the minute I saw the trailer. So go check out Pepper Grinder. Did you play it, Brandon?
I didn't play it. I looked at it. From the videos, it felt very much like a cross between Drill Dozer on the GBA from Game Freak and this game where you're a worm that I can't remember the name of, and they had a Christmas version where the worm had a Christmas hat, and it was like you was side on, and you were a worm going through the ground eating people. Yeah, it's it looks neat, so very good. Let's see, my next one, I'll do Castaway. Castaway is a very small game. The main game is about 20 minutes long.
Oh,
it's maybe 20 minutes.
Shit! Did you just remind me of another game that I played last year?
Maybe I did.
God damn it!
Then there's a 40 dungeon tower to go through, which I almost got to the end of, but not quite. Some people mistakenly thought it was a roguelike, but really it's just 40 set levels that you can get good at and speedrun. The only random element is you can choose what power-ups you get, or they're actually random. I actually don't totally remember. But it has kind of fiddly controls, and that part is tough for me because there's some things you have to do very quickly in the game because there are spikes that come up and down, and I found that to be frustrating. And it sort of sounds like I don't like the game, but despite saying all that, I would actually recommend it to people. Give it a shot. It's like a very small, bite-sized little video game that you can see almost all of in an hour. And
I love that shit.
It's just a little cute little top-down thing. You arrive on an island. You have to find your dog, and then you do. And then there's a tower that you can optionally challenge. It's like such a small game, but there it is. Okay, your turn.
Okay, I don't think this is such a small game, but this is like one of the games on my list that I played the least. The Crush House. This is a Devolver. Did you play that?
No, I just heard about it.
Yeah. This is one of those Devolver Digital joints that are like super weird and quirky. Like Devolver Digital likes to not pretend, but likes to, project as their self-image. Mm-hmm. But it's like basically you are the production assistant on this kind of like Big Brother style
game show,
reality,
dating show.
Yeah, reality TV show, and you have to keep the production going and like arrange the different cast members so they like create moments of drama. But there's this like underlying current of like, there's something wrong here. Like there's something like some eldritch horror is creeping in the corners of your vision. I didn't play it for all that long, but I played it enough that it counts on the list. I think it's interesting. I really enjoy those kinds of like this, it purports to be one thing, but there's like a different, darker twist to it. Like that kind of, those kinds of games appeal to me. And Crush House was like one of those games, but it didn't have enough hooks in me. Yeah. Which is why I'm really excited for the one game that I see in all the like Day of the Devs recently, Date Everything, which I believe was by a solo dev where like you are a house and you can like date the appliances in your house.
Yeah.
I love those little weird little games like that. And I thought the Crush House would be something like that. And I don't think it was all that much. And now I'm reminded of another game that was not on the list. That should be on the list. I know. Go for it.
Right. Okay. Neurodiver. Neurodiver, made by a bunch of those people are friends of mine. It's short, but also the meat of the story kind of kicks in pretty late. The puzzles are full on trial and error, which is not very great. I should say what the game is. It's a not quite Snatcher like, but Japanese style adventure game where you choose a place to go, and then you look around at all the things in the scene, and then you talk to people and glean information and that kind of stuff. Has amazing animation for the characters when they're talking. They're like super cute. I love looking at it. Music's fun. The art is great. There's Demon School and Hyper Gunsport characters in there making cameos.
That's nice. That's fun.
The vibes were really good, and I liked the main character, but it never really got its hooks in me, and I never felt like the world was bigger than what was presented to me. It felt very constrained. If they had fixed the trial and error puzzles, which I sent them like here's how you could do it, but it was too late. The game was out. And they could have used another act in between the second and third that would have really, like where they revisited all the characters they had talked to before. It's frustrating because I think with another 6 months, it could have been really great. But as it stands, it's still decent, and I think it's still worth playing and worth checking out. It's a little sadly underplayed, I would say, Neurodiver, but great music, great look, great vibes. Just had some near misses on a few elements of it. Okay, your turn.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to bring up the game that you reminded me that I played that I forgot I had played. I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I think it's called Scheme? SCHIM? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
I saw this game maybe a couple years ago at Summer Games Fest where
I've looked at
the
this.
one where you jump between the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
What a fun game. What a fun little concept on like the floor is lava kind of almost. You are this little blob and you move about the world by jumping between shadows because you're trying to, I think you're like the shadow of this one person and you get like lost from him.
Yeah, you're trying to reconnect.
Yeah, you're trying to get back to him. And the way that you do that is to like jump between, the shadows of other things. And it's a neat little puzzle game where you have to like figure out how to create shadows and things like that and how to move them. I remember that like you can like affect the world around you. So if you are like stuck in a shadow and there's another shadow that you can see, but you can only jump so far, like you can like hit a lamppost and it'll turn on the light. So when a person walks on, yeah, exactly. Right. Cute, adorable little game that I thought was so damn clever. That I just love that it exists. You can get it now on Steam. It's a cute little game. You should play it.
It's very 15 years ago type of puzzle platformer, sort of, not puzzle platform, but like environmental puzzle game. There were a lot of those at that time. It's pretty cool. I'm glad that people are still doing it. Is what I would say.
I got 2 more games, and then I'm tapped out.
Okay,
I only have 2. All
right. Okay. The next one, since you're still here, I'm going to talk about Sonic Generations and Shadow because you didn't play it.
Oh, please do. Yeah,
but it's pretty decent. So I first started with Sonic Generations and I was like, this is familiar. And then I remembered that, it's Sonic Generations, which already existed. So then I switched over to Shadow, and I can really see why people said that this is the best 3D Sonic that has been in a long time, because
I lament then that I have not played this because I need a good Sonic game.
Right.
Frontiers broke my heart, and Superstars also wasn't that great.
Yeah, so like I was playing Generations, and I was and I actually have a note here saying maybe 3D Sonic still isn't for me. And I was like, everyone says this is a good one. But then I switched over to Shadow, and the Shadow stages are like super fun. And I see why people like it. It feels inventive and it feels interesting. It's good to move around. The stages are like feel clever without feeling forced. And the world feels like way bigger. The stages feel way bigger than they probably are. But also there's maybe stuff that I'm totally missing. It feels really good, and also the hub area is very, in my mind, this is a positive. It feels like Balan Wonderworld in the hub.
Oh, I'm glad that you prefaced that with positive.
Yeah, positive to me, just because there's like a weird empty hub that you then fill in with things as you complete stages, and then there's more stuff to do in the hub as it moves along, because it's like this weird white blankness, and then you add more stuff. But so I only played it for like an hour. but I'm gonna get back to it because it was one of these ones where I was like, I gotta play this before the episode in case Ash has played it and brings it up. And then I was like, actually, I'm gonna go back and finish it is what I'm gonna do because the Shadow stuff was it was really good. So
I guess I can say I did play it, but I played it at Summer Games Fest. I don't know if that counts, and I don't think I would count it.
It counts enough. But you played the Shadow stuff, the Shadow?
Yeah,
stages?
I played Shadow Generations at Summer Games Fest last year.
Okay, well, yeah, I thought it was really.
I didn't get like a good sense of what the game is. Like you only play like a couple of levels, and it felt like okay, yeah, this is just Sonic Generations, but with a Shadow color palette swap. But I will say, isn't Keanu Reeves the voice of Shadow in some of it, or no? Oh,
movie.
So he doesn't voice the character in the game too? I thought he did.
I don't know if he did. It didn't. I was waiting to hear him, and then I was like, I don't think that's him.
You would know because it would be like the flattest, most uninspired performance. That,
yeah. Okay.
Like I love Keanu Reeves, but he's not a good voice actor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's. I'm going to say that it's not him then, without actually looking it up, because it sounded like familiar Shadow angsty boy to me. So I think it might have been.
One of these days we have to talk about Shadow the Hedgehog on the actual podcast.
It's true. We should. Oh, there's a Asper just mentioned in the chat. There's a Keanu voice DLC pack.
That's what I thought. Okay,
that's what it is. Okay, so I didn't play it with that. All right, your turn.
All right. I'm going to go with the one that we've talked about that you didn't want to talk about because you wanted to wait for me to talk about, Black Myth Wukong.
Yes.
That sure is a game.
It's a game.
That is a game
100%.
that came out in 2024.
Yeah.
It is a game.
Got graphics.
It's got some graphics. Actually, I will say graphics, beautiful. Love that shit. First playing the game, like when you first boot it up, like the first, like maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes of the game, I am a person who really, really loves like Chinese historical dramas. Mm-hmm. And I got a really strong like Chinese historical drama vibe from it. And I love that shit. Like a wuxia vibe.
Yeah.
I eat that shit up for breakfast.
Chinese?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I don't do that shit in English.
Yeah, because with the very early parts of it, I loved how the inflection of their voices really matched the style of the period dramas.
Yep.
And because I've watched plenty of those, and also the way that the characters move is very informed by that 80s and 90s wuxia and 70s wuxia films. And I really appreciated that because that was part of what, like I said on the actual Game of the Year show, made me feel like this was the year of China coming into making games for and about China that come from a different perspective and show like a different lineage. Obviously, they've been doing that for a long time, but those are all now like outward facing as well. Like the Western world can play them. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, and then after that, like initial, like he's got so Black Myth Wukong. If you're not familiar with it, it's like a Dark Souls version of Journey to the West, and you play as like the Monkey King, and you're like fighting through all that stuff. And then the first, like your first encounter with the game, you're playing as the Monkey King, and you're fighting these gods, and it's really fucking cool. And then after that specific sequence, like right at the beginning of the game, after that, it just kind of falls off a cliff for me. Like I have a hard time, and I feel like I shouldn't judge a game by the reaction or whatever of like its fan base or whatever. But but I can't divorce it from that. Like I take these pictures holistically, and the developers of Black Myth Wukong, there was a reporting done on them from IGN that kind of like highlighted like these guys kind of have like shitty politics when it comes to like women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you know, for some people that becomes like a rallying cry for them.
Right.
And Black Myth Wukong like had this like groundswell of support from like GG 2.0 people and legitimately like from, you know, Chinese gamers that like are excited to see like one of their games like finally penetrate the West. It's unfortunate that, you know, the people that it like resonated with them for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But the thing that I remember about this game specifically was like, yeah, it was okay to a point. Like it feels like very much like a Dark Souls clone or whatever. And that's fine. That's not like a knock against the game. But I remember thinking like, you guys are making much ado about this kind of middle of the road shit. Like, really? Like, people are getting death threats and journalists are getting death threats and can't go on social media for this shit? Are you serious? Like, pick a struggle. It's not this one.
Yeah.
And that's just like the feeling that I have about the game. It's not bad.
Well, the lower hanging the fruit, the easier it is for them to pluck. That's about all they can grab hold of, this folks.
Yeah, and it was getting nominated for like Game of the Year, and I believe it won in the Game Awards for like best like
Audience,
fan voted game. Yeah. Like, it's fine. It doesn't deserve that kind of thing. Like, it's okay. I get it. Rah, root for the home team. It just doesn't, it wasn't enough to like propel me into like, okay, I understand what they're saying. Like, it's a perfectly fine game. And I think the problem is that people are not satisfied with a game being just okay. Mm-hmm. Like, it can't just be okay. Stellar Blade just can't be okay. It has to be like, this is the game that will take down modern woke AAA gaming.
Yeah.
Like, this game is all right. It doesn't need the kind of vociferous defending that you give it. It's just okay. Yeah. Calm down. Put the gun down. But I'm curious to see what you have to say about it.
Well, I don't like Souls games at all. And this one,
I actually didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah,
I'm dead serious.
Okay, I don't like them at all. I struggle to play them. I struggle to be interested in them. I think that this one is it's easier to move around. The faster movements make it better, more playable to me. It's still not the kind of game I would really have the interest in getting better at. But if the attack buttons were on the face of the controller, I might try.
Is that your hang up with them?
That's not the only one. The biggest one is the waiting for attacks to happen. Like, the timing of attacks is always wrong for me. I like it faster and quicker. And I also am not super big on being challenged in a 3D action game. It's just...
I understand that.
Just in general. But I liked how it looked a lot. I liked the mythology
Beautiful
of it.
Game.
And just an interesting little data point for me was I was judging this for a competition, Game Awards competition, and other people were talking about how easy it was to get lost and like they couldn't navigate and stuff. And I was like, but there's a map. And then I found out that the map was patched in like 2 days before I played it, but they had played it right when it first came out, and there was no map for a really long time. And I was surprised.
I think that's correct from what I remember, but I could be wrong.
No, I looked it up. It was true, and I was surprised because the map is like, it's like a beautiful hand painted scroll, and so it fit so well into the universe that I was like, this must have been here all along, but it wasn't. So they did a good job making that map. But also I agree with everything you said about the stuff surrounding it. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I hope, and I am excited to see more games come out of China and penetrate into the West. I think Infinity Nikki is also one of those games that has like had crossover success.
Definitely.
Like, more of that, please. Not necessarily gotcha game, but like more of like Infinity Nikki overall versus Black Myth Wukong. This is my last game.
Wait,
go ahead.
After Black Myth Wukong, you have one more after Black Myth Wukong, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going next.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm gonna do Rise of the Ronin. This is another Soulsy Neo type game.
Shit, I think I played that one.
Probably. So the thing I find the most interesting about this game is I keep asking people if they know that this game exists, and people keep telling me no. And this was like,
oh no, this is not the one I played.
This was like a big PlayStation game. It was supposed to be a big PlayStation game, and I just can't find anybody that has played it or remembered that it existed. It has so much money in it. It's made by Team Ninja, Tecmo Koei, and was a PlayStation exclusive.
Sure was.
And it's coming out on Windows pretty soon, and maybe it'll do better. But it was very, very surprising that just like nobody played this. So it is kind of more Neo-like, but it's faster. You can switch between two characters and do pincer attacks and stuff on enemies. It's more ninja, so there's some stealth. It's like a Souls Tenchu kind of. And there's your save spots remind you of your mission objective, which I think is really good and nice. and it's decent, but I didn't get far enough to see how it progresses. I basically stopped right when the world opens up, and I don't know if you get another partner again or if you're going through the rest of the game solo. I have no idea. I just played it long enough to know whether it was pretty good, because again, Souls games aren't really for me, and it is pretty good. But I think the most interesting thing about it is just how few people appear to have heard of it.
Team Ninja, man, they either hit real hard or they miss, because Dynasty Warriors Origin hit. This, not so much. The game that I was thinking that I thought I played that was not this, is actually Trek to Yomi, which I believe came out in like 2022. It's a side scroller more than it is like a 3D action game, but it's like got those Kurosawa vibes to it. Yeah, like where you can like change a setting on it where it has like that Kurosawa like black and white grainy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't like Rise of the Ronin all that much, I would suggest you play Trek to Yomi, because that I did play. Doesn't count for this list, but yeah, you'd like that, I think.
Rise of the Ronin is like very beautiful 3D, huge, big budget AAA. It's wild. Wild that it didn't really
I
hit.
at least appreciate the fact that they let Koei Tecmo fail in some situations, because I believe Rise of the Ronin was one of those fails, because I absolutely remember like everybody talking about this, and also Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which actually was kind of okay. But they've made these like couple stinkers the last few years, and they're allowed to do that, and then they can do things like release Ninja Gaiden Black and Dynasty Warriors Origins.
No, I think it was good. I think just nobody played it. I don't think it was a stinker. I think it just didn't get played.
Fair enough.
I think it was maybe a marketing failure. Anyway, what's your last one? What do you got?
This is my final game. I'm really glad that I had this conversation with you, because it made me realize how many games that I didn't remember that I played. So I feel bad, because I feel like a games journalist should play a lot of games. I feel like I should have a list of 44 games that I played. I don't. But I'm glad that I have more than I thought I did. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm like topping out at like maybe like, I think I said like 24 last time on the other episode.
So maybe
but
you
now
got
it's
up to
like
30.
Yeah, I think I got up to 30, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
The last game that I played was Manor Lords. I think it's another one of those early access games, but it's a Age of Empires kind of deal where it's like a strategy game, resource management game. You are in charge of this like little village in some Eastern European country that is not actually a country yet. And you have to like, build this town up to prosperity. And I love those kind of crunchy real-time strategy games. I was obsessed with it for just a little bit, because it scratched that Age of Empires itch in a way that Civilization and Age of Empires 4 kind of didn't for me. So I appreciated that. But it was in early access. It's changed significantly since I played it. But I think it's just like one of those RTS Eastern European games that is like worth your time.
Very good. Yeah, they're. I don't tend to get into those because they're always on the personal computer, and I don't play video games on there.
So you're the opposite of Frank.
Exactly. I'm exactly the opposite of Frank. But I kind of like RTSs, so it makes me sad.
What RTS games do you like?
Weirdly, I like classics like Dune 2. That was a DOS game. From it's like pre Command and Conquer, basically.
Okay.
It's like prototype Command and Conquer. And I like those Command and Conquer type games. But you will be very sad to learn that the Final Fantasy 12 that I have played is Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings.
Was that an RTS?
Yeah, it's an RTS on the DS.
Oh my God. I want to play. I've never played that game. I wanted to play that game. I just haven't, because it was it released
DS.
in the West?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go back and like find a cart of that game, because I would play the shit out of that. I didn't know it was an RTS.
It's not great, but it is delightful. Is what I felt.
When Square Enix does like direct sequels of their Final Fantasy games, they kind of hit.
Yeah, so
like when they get weird with that shit, it's good.
A lot of people didn't like it very much, but it worked for me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, well, I guess now it's time for me to just bust through the rest of my list by myself.
I will stick with you for the next 10 minutes and I will talk with you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We're going to lightning round. That's what we're going to do. We're going to lightning round the rest of the games that I have. And I'm going to try to do all of them in under a minute. I don't have a timer. I'm just going to try to use my brain. Okay. Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. I've mentioned this on the show before. The depth of focus is too strong and fuzzy. The camera movement between your party and enemies makes me ill. Camera is only movable during some parts of the world, which is weird. And it just felt like the old guys who made the old games had not learned anything, which made me not want to continue, so I didn't. Next, Metal Slug Tactics. It has some basic problems. Camera doesn't snap to keep text boxes in focus. You have to move the right stick in a 2D game to get to the text box. That's just weird. Moving with the controller feels loose. It was probably just focused on PC. Menus feel scattered. Like, it's slow-paced. There are synchro attacks, but they're also slow. The font is not very good. The pixels are too zoomed in. It just doesn't feel like it's all together. And as kind of an emblematic of this game, the first mission was about how Mordred, one of the characters from Metal Slug, was working with the undead, and then there weren't any undead in the map. So I just wasn't vibing with it. I would have loved a cool Metal Slug Tactics game, but this wasn't it. Slitterhead is next.
Okay.
Yeah, set in Hong Kong, but you can't have exclusively Chinese voices with English subs, which I thought was weird.
That is weird.
There's just like some baked in Cantonese, but mostly it's English or mumbling, which is strange. The combat feels really bad at first, like really bad. And enemy attacks have a huge wind up, but the parry window is very small and making it hard to gauge, which is frustrating. It's also complex with a lot of bars and icons and things, but then you get like better movement and better fighting abilities and stuff over time, but it's really rough to start off with the first hour of bad fighting, and there's no like guarantee it's going to get better. It does, but it's just a weird way to start a game. Also, movement doesn't feel great, possibly because they had to genericize it, because this is a game where you can jump into a bunch of different bodies, any bodies almost, and then fight with them, but they had to kind of make things feel generic as a result. It does have some kind of classic Hong Kong horror superimposition visuals and stuff, which I really like, and the music is great. It's by Akira Yamaoka, but the city doesn't feel too real or lived in because every human is just a potential combatant for you, and nobody really truly acknowledges you or anything else. And similar to Siren, when this has some relationship to, I get the immediate, like, this feels like it could be really interesting, but I don't actually want to do this. And I hope I can get back into it, but I didn't even finish the games I wanted to finish in 2023, and I'd rather finish Ghostwire Tokyo, so maybe I'll do that.
Is that the game with that one Japanese developer that everybody loves, the one girl?
Ghostwire Tokyo? She was on that a bit, yeah.
No, was she on Slitterhead?
She was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, terrible name, Slitterhead. Sorry. Just bad.
It's true.
Not good.
Yeah, this is Bokeh Studio, which I think is it's like Itagaki. Maybe it's not. I forget who it is. But Yamaoka did the music, and that was cool. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. This is another one of those games by I'm blanking on the name, but the studio that's doing all the remakes of their older games that were on the Super Nintendo, like the Pocky and Rocky Rebirth and all those kinds of things. It does have a little bit of it's a 2D action game. Tengo Project, that's what it is. Tengo Project within Natsume, the Natsume Atari group that does this. They do have a little background-foreground trouble where I can't really tell which is which, and there's some finicky jumps at the edge of platforms, which is very surprising to me. Like, you have to jump before you would expect to, which is just really not a thing I would expect from them. It's really cool, but it's kind of fiddly, and I would almost rather watch someone play it than play it. I missed a platform jump 5 times because I couldn't remember exactly how early to hit the button before the end of the platform so that I could jump at the right time. It's just really weird and uncharacteristic for them. I love how it looks, but I didn't enjoy playing it. Next, First Descendant. Lots of graphics. It's like if...
First Ascendant or Descendant?
Descendant. Pretty sure. Yeah, First Descendant. It's like if Quantum Theory on the Xbox 360 had a budget, kind of, for their graphics. It's got a grappling hook that you can really mess around with and go everywhere. The hub world is very MMO, which I found disorienting, and it really interrupted the narrative for me. Generally, it felt really disjointed. It also didn't remember my language settings after a couple times, which was weird.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's super map based. It's supposed to be a squad shooter, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's a shooter, and the shooting wasn't great. The more I played it, the less I liked it. It just didn't grab me because it didn't feel like it had a soul inside of itself. But yeah, it's a shooter. I should have mentioned that. But yeah, it just didn't feel right. Kill Knight is next. The very first thing it did is ask if I would share my data, and I
no.
And I said no. And then somehow the art at the start made me feel like it was going to sell me an NFT, especially with asking to share my data. I didn't enjoy playing it, but it's just not for me. It's got too many buttons, not enough fun. It's one of those things, not exactly like Helldaggers, but where you're like in an arena and you have to kill a bunch of things very quickly and evolve your powers and get good at it. And I just didn't want to get good at it.
It looks like God, what was that Miami top-down game?
Hotline Miami.
Yeah, it looks like Hotline Miami, but if it was bad and a bullet
it's a little
hell.
Yeah, that's a little close. But it has way more complicated interactions with enemies and more like parrying and gauges to manage and things like that. COD Black Ops 6. I played Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for a while.
Why did you do that?
I always play the Call of Duty campaigns. I play every one. Because I don't know. I've just been doing it. I always do it. I don't play the multiplayer. I play the campaigns. I'm the weirdo that knows all the Call of Duty campaigns.
No, I'm like right there with you. I just don't play the campaigns. I watch them, and you've reminded me that I have not watched the campaign for COD Black Ops 6 yet, so I have to do that.
So it's not really worth talking about Call of Duty that much. But the one thing I'm going to focus on is you get a hideout, and then as soon as I realized this was a possibility, there's a mystery in the hideout. There's like hidden stuff, and there's a puzzle. There's like a whole puzzle section where you go through the hideout, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and how to get into this room or that room. And I really enjoyed that part. And I would 100% play a puzzle Call of Duty where you're just going around trying to figure out, like, solve these light little puzzles. It's like, so it's an old Soviet barracks, and there's like an underneath zone where they were like trying to teach Soviet troops to pretend to be American for infiltration reasons.
So the Americans?
And yes, exactly. And you're solving puzzles in there to try to get to something or other, but in the area where they were like educating themselves. It's kind of fun.
Did you like the campaign?
I only played the campaign for like an hour, and I thought it was all right. I mean, I'm going to get back to it. I just had to do it enough to know about it, and then I'm going to finish it. The COD Black Ops campaigns are longer than the main line ones, and so I was like, I'll just come back to it. But, it was all right. Shadows of Doubt, here's another one. Bad frame rate on PlayStation 5, that's too bad. It's all voxels, which I don't love. Very John Carpenter meets Vangelis soundtrack attempt, which is kind of fun. It's like, it's trying to be like noir and semi-cyberpunk, semi-steampunk. It's really trying to fulfill that one-block RPG idea. Essentially, there's a generated murder mystery for you to solve, like who the culprit is and how they did it and how to find them and what room they're in and all that stuff is different every time, which is kind of neat. But it's really easy to get wrecked and destroyed and killed, and I felt like it should have been easier to be like a mystery adventure game. I want it to be easier. But I see what they're doing. I think it's cool. A lot of the context winds up a little bit generic because things can be anywhere and everywhere. But it is cool to solve the mysteries. It's just like really hard to get away from guys once they come after you. You have to like go into vents to escape people, and then it gets cold in there, and then the cold meter can kill you. And then I had a broken bone, and I was like, I was bleeding. My bone was broken. I was cold. I did escape, but at that point, I was just like completely destroyed, and I had to give up.
Can I interrupt you before you do your next game? You once again reminded me of a game that I played, but I forgot I played. I Am Your Beast. Another one of those, strange scaffold games. If it's a strange scaffold game, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna play it because I love everything that they do. I don't know how to describe this. It feels like Mirror's Edge, but if Mirror's Edge were broken and chopped up into these like single bespoke like individual levels where you have to like make through the level as fast as you can. There's a little timer running up at the top, and you have to kill all of these like enemies that are in front of you and like complete the objective. And it's been really fun, like watching people like bring down the times to like defeat these levels. And it has a lot of like developer involvement. So it's a Zalavel Nelson Jr. game. And I love him as a developer. Like I love his entire ethos, his like whole shtick. Yeah, like they make great games. I Am Your Beast is one of those great games, along with Click Holding, which is a completely different game that involves the cuck chair. And if you know what the cuck chair is, yeah, it's a video game about that. Yeah, go play I Am Your Beast. Okay, please continue. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Wizardry. I played the Wizardry remake thing a bit. It's kind of nice. Quality of life things are decent. It feels like you're sort of plopped into it without context, but that's sort of what the original game was like. The real problem with it for me is you can't save. You have to just play through the whole game in one go, and it doesn't quite hold my interest for a full, complete run. I would rather save and come back to it than I might actually complete it. One thing I thought was extremely cool, though, is that the original Wizardry, like on an Apple II, is just running in a tiny little window in the corner of the game. Like the big remastered graphics game is there, and then there's like it. At first, you could think it's a mini map, but it's actually just the whole original game is running in a window, which I thought was very cute. Oh, and it won a Grammy, so good for them.
Nice.
Another Crab's Treasure is a game that I played.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love them.
Okay, good. I didn't like the game at all, but it's because...
Oh, no, why not?
Well, it's a Souls-like.
So
okay.
It's not because the game's bad. It's just because you have something rotten in your spirit.
Yeah,
I don't mean that.
No, that's fine. I thought it had an interesting use of video footage in the intro. The humor was a little flat for me. I had trouble with the controls. I felt like edge detection was not great on platforms, but I guess other people didn't have that problem. But you can like grab onto a ladder when you want to jump off of a platform because it's got state changes for the buttons. And if you get hit, you get stunned, which means you take more hits, which means it's more punishing for a person like me that is bad at this. But I liked the underwater theme. I thought that was cute, and I liked looking at it. But yeah, wasn't for me. Lastly, my final one, NES World Championship.
Oh, okay.
Not for me, but a cool idea. You basically play through.
You're not
chunks.
A speedrunner?
Yeah, I'm not a speedrunner. Well, I could be, but it's not my favorite thing. I like watching them. I don't like to try to get better at things in like hyper focused type ways. And you're playing chunks of NES games, and I think the online competition idea of speedrun is cool, but like I don't like NES games that much. I don't like that vibe of specific play style, and so it didn't work for me, but I appreciated it, and I think that it's a cool thing, and I hope they do more stuff like that with their back catalog, chopping it up and doing interesting things with it. I applaud the idea, and I think it's very cool, but not for me. That's
Make
all
them
the
available,
games.
like things like not Tetris 99, but like F-Zero 99 or Mario 99, or hell, even Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which you cannot buy anymore, which is ridiculous. Nintendo, you hate money. Yeah, like make those stick around for longer than what they do, please. Nintendo,
I agree.
I beg.
I agree. Okay, well, that's it. We got through everything. That's all the video games that anyone has ever played. No other games came out in the year. That's a joke. No, they did. But yeah, we did it. Good for us.
We did it.
Thanks, Ash.
We talked about all the games that we played in 24. I appreciate that. If for nothing else, because I've been a games journalist, it'll be 5 years this year. I have never really kept track of the games that I have played throughout each year. And every year, at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I'm going to keep track of these games. And I never do. And this actually forced me to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for that, because now I have a good understanding of the kinds of games that I've played. And I'm really, pleased with myself with the breadth and the depth of the different kinds of games that I played. So thank you.
There's a variety. Well, start keeping track. 2025.
I know.
We're going to do this again.
And we're gonna have the same conversation. I'm gonna say the same shit in February 2025 that we're having right now. 2026. That I
just
shit.
Go,
you reminded me
go
of
through
something.
your Steam library, go through your consoles, and sort by date added, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, I did play that.
Good point. I have to go back through The Verge's my author page on The Verge, and that doesn't capture everything because a lot of the games that I've missed were as part of compilation blogs or whatever that I did that don't necessarily have my byline on them. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I did that one. I did that one. I did that one too. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Next year we'll get even more comprehensive. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks everyone for listening. There's going to be a different kind of special episode, the next episode after this, and then we'll return to normalcy. So thanks all. And what do I got to say? I got to say that you should
subscribe to the Patreon.
Subscribe to the Patreon. That would be really cool if you did that. Get those numbers up and
join forums.insertcredit.com.
Yeah, the Patreon's patreon.com/insertcredit. Check out forums.insertcredit.com. A lot of fun stuff going on over there. It is a lovely place to hang out and converse without a lot of the evils of the world seeping in. And
it is. It's a nice social media alternative.
Yeah. And, recommend this show to your friends. Try doing that. Tell your friends this show's the best. They'll probably won't believe you if you say that. Tell them it's fine. Tell them it's just fine. Or tell them it's terrible. And then they listen to it and they're like, actually, it wasn't that bad.
I don't think you're very good at this.
No, I forgot that I even had to do this part. So that's what you get when you end a show with me. A big trail off. Bye forever. Oh,
okay,
wait.
I was going to make... Oh, damn it.
This episode was edited by Esper Quinn, music by Kurt Feldman. Maybe there's a fancy buzzer by somebody. I don't know. Could be. Could be funny. What were you going to say, Ash?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And I'm Ash Parrish.
And Kris Graft was here. And
now your game has been saved.
That's the one.
It really fall apart without him, huh?
Yeah. This is why I'm not the host. Okay.